Other than choosing the right team to execute on the marketing effort, the single most important thing in getting the most money for your property is setting the right listing price. Way too many people in this business get it wrong, either because they just list it crazy low and hope that the market will make up for their lack of effort or insight, or they look too broadly when pulling comps, like an entire neighborhood or zip code or even city. And when you look that widely, it's going to skew the comps, because no matter what area you choose, whether it's super expensive or whether it's low price, there's still going to be a big delta between the highest price sale and the lowest. What we use are called micro comp locations. And what this is are the properties sold directly around where yours is, because these are going to be the most reflective of what's going to happen with your property. Now then, we'll also adjust for differences in views and condition and upgrades. And because we're so active in the business, we'll have seen all or most of these properties, so we have a better insight in how to adjust them. Then we'll look at the last 6 months, the last 3 months, and the last 1 month of sold to look at any trends either up or down and come up with a final suggested listing price. Now, sometimes there's some prep involved, and so there's some time that goes on between that suggested initial price and the actual going to market. And so we would take another look at it and also factor in, the competition or lack thereof, and come up with the final price that is most conducive to getting you the most money. And it's really effective. I'm going to give you a couple examples. So we had a couple who was looking to buy in Tiburon, and the husband was firmly on board with us representing them because they'd made a lot of money on the last property they sold, which we helped them buy. The wife was leaning towards using an agent that only works in Marin for whatever reason. And at one point they targeted a particular property in Tiburon, and she came and asked me what I thought about the pricing. And I said, it's way overpriced. Even though most places were selling for considerably over asking, I knew it was overpriced because of the way that I pulled the comps. And I told her it's going to sell between 200 and 250 grand below what it's currently listed at. And she came back at me kind of snarky, well, so-and-so told me that we needed to bid 200,000 over asking price. And I told her she's wrong. And I can tell you why she's wrong. Because she pulled comps from all of Tiburon. And there's a big delta between the best parts of Tiburon and the lesser parts of Tiburon, and this property is in the lesser part. And that's why it's going to sell for less, because the properties around here don't support the current asking price, let alone an overbid like that. As it turned out, they didn't buy it, but it did sell $220,000 below what the listing agent had listed it at. Now, we had a listing at 77 Dow for one of the penthouse units. And this building typically tends to sell either a little below, at asking, or a little above. Now, if you looked at comps in the neighborhood, it would suggest a much larger delta between the initial listing price and the selling price. And if you use those comps, you'd end up leaving a lot of money on the table. We ended up selling this property for $51,000 above the asking price. Now, that doesn't sound very impressive, but it was the highest price per square foot ever sold in the building, ever. Now, when you're thinking about selling your property, you need to ask yourself a question. Do you want the most money over asking, or do you want the most money? Do you want the biggest difference in price? Or do you want the highest price per square foot ever in the building? Seems like the answer is pretty obvious.